So when I tell people that I'm from Brazil, they think this. I'm not kidding. And it makes sense that they think this because we do have a lot of natural beauty. We have a very evolved culture of pleasure and a very interesting mix of cultures and races. And we know these images are very effective in terms of selling the country abroad. But what we don't show is this. And inequality is a huge problem in Brazil. There is a very wide income gap between the rich and the poor. And by the way, they're actually typically and quite often sharing the same space, especially in the big cities. This is a place in Rio called Rocinha, which is a famous slum. Here's another picture. And this one, I actually grew up right next to it. And between 80,000 and 100,000 people live here. I passed by this place every day on my way to school. So the income gap in Brazil has very deep regional and historical roots. The richest 1% of the population has an income that is equivalent to the income of the poorest 50% of the population. So you can see it's very dramatic. And despite programs that reduced poverty and malnutrition in Brazil, 11.2 million people have nothing to eat. So if you're born on the side of opportunity as a Brazilian, what do you do about that? And this is a question that I always asked myself for the longest time. And I always felt a little helpless. I felt I couldn't do anything. Sure, once in a while, you give a little bit of money away. You give small change to a child. But I always felt it was not enough. So one day in Brooklyn, where I live, I was comfortably ordering food online from, my usual favorite Mexican place. And I had a thought which was, wow, this is an amazing service. I bet that it would do very well in Brazil. We have a booming delivery segment that is doing very well. There's huge food culture, and a lot of people order by the phone. They order food still by calling. And I had a second thought, which was, but what if every time I ordered food, I could share some of it with somebody who didn't have anything to eat? So with those thoughts in mind, I actually started to imagine, what if all of my friends did the same? What kind of impact could we create? So I decided to tackle two problems. The first problem is the hunger of the rich, which with a team of designers and developers, and I got everyone involved, even my family. We built a platform where people can order food online from restaurants, from a variety of restaurants and different cuisines. So it looks like this, and it's called Hungry. That's how a Brazilian would read that, by the way. So that's for the hunger of the rich. The hunger of the poor, I actually tackled with the same platform. And it's kind of like a new system. So the way it works is we charge each one of these restaurants 10% of every order. And they're happy to pay because we're creating more orders for them. But then we give 50% away, 50% of our net profit away to organizations that fight hunger and malnutrition in Brazil. So every single order generates a contribution, and users can see how much they're going to be donating to these organizations, but without having to spend any money because it's coming from our commission. And it's what we call Hunger Games, by the way. We're gamifying hunger, so it becomes like a very healthy competition where people are like ordering and counting points and seeing the type of impacts that they're making in their communities. So the idea is every time I eat, the other guy can eat too. It's very simple. And people say, that's crazy, right? A lot of people said that to me, and I love every single time when they say it. It's a good feeling. And I tell them, yes, it is a crazy idea. This whole notion of mixing profit and philanthropy into one project is still kind of new, especially in Brazil. But the truth is, we built so many technology and operation efficiencies into our platform, and they allow for profit to be made in equal proportion to impact, which is the beauty of it. And partnerships are very important, so we have UNICEF as our partner, as well as as Brazil's top association of organic agriculture. And they know how to do good. So we generate the funds, and the user chooses which one of these two organizations should receive their contribution. So everybody's happy. I'm happy because I'm finally doing something about my country. I love food too, so that helps. And we're starting to get some orders, which is really exciting. Users are very happy because they can order in 30 seconds, discover food through friends, which is how it happens in the offline world. They get a sense of a community that shares their values and principles. And they can also look good doing good without spending any money. All they have to do is order their own food and pay the same price they would pay if they were calling the restaurant. Restaurants are happy because, this is a very risk-free model. Essentially, they pay only when they get an order. And we are an additional channel for them that generates deliveries that they wouldn't get otherwise via the phone, and much more repeat ordering. And they also get a very glossy web presence with digital menus and search engine friendly pages. Organizations are very happy because they love our system for generating recurrent micro contributions, which is kind of like a very different mindset compared to the typical donation model where you create all this effort and you put together an event and you do fundraising, and then it doesn't repeat itself. The idea behind our project is that every time you're hungry, you're actually helping somebody with hunger. And Hungry, our project, is also an opportunity for organizations to establish what they refer to as the donor's journey. There's many more interactions with the organization, with their messaging and with their programs, so they can tell a story in a way that is more efficient and more modern. And as we're very interested in scaling, so as we talk to investors, we think that they too are going to enjoy our sustainable revenue streams. So essentially, we're on a mission to show Brazilians and hopefully the rest of the world that companies no longer have to choose between doing well and doing good. And we don't look at profits as being gained through the exhaustion of common resources, but rather through the optimization and maximization of the returns for shareholders and the society in equal measure. Thank you. Obrigado.